I'll put keys away and all that kind of stuff. Right, hey, here we are. We're in Falmouth, outside Motorrad, which has become a bit of a home. Here's my baby bike. I'm saying that because there's the big boy's bike next to it. There's Toby's, he's very happy. Not as happy as me though. I love this bike. Review to come soon, but you know, we're doing bits and pieces first. Anyway, we're talking about these tyres. These are Bridgestone Battle Axe A41s or Adventure 41s. First time I've used them. Must admit, when I picked them up, picked the bike up, I was expecting it to have panicky 3s on. Anarchy 3s, sorry, which as you know, I really, really like. At all. But I gotta say, the Anarchy 3 is a really good tyre in the dry. In the wet, completely different kettle of fish. However, these, as you can see, I've been riding them for a while now. I've just had the 600-mile service, and I absolutely love them in the dry. So, do they compare to the Anarchy 3s? Yes, I think they do, in the dry. And then obviously when it gets a bit wet, we'll go out and carry on and do a video about that. But tyre tread, I mean, tyre tread's tyre tread, isn't it? You know, you look at all the bikes now, it just looks like sometimes they do a little bit of a pattern, you know, to impress you. But this seems to work. Apparently the tyre has got a solid compound, more softer on the edge, or right on the edges, which is like all technology's doing now. You can hear the wind whistling. It's a very whistly, windy day today.
The wind isn't whistling, the wind's whistling over things.
Okay then. Certainly not ruining my hairstyle, is it? Anyway, so nice tread. All the blurb I've read up about them, and you know, it's like anything. You read all the articles and all these well-known magazines, and it looks like they just cut and paste it all, you know, from the review when the bike with the tyre was released. So I don't really pay much attention to that. So we'll see what happens when I go out for a ride. Okay, as you can see, today is a wet, miserable day in deepest, darkest Cornwall, and for that reason I'm going to go out and do a little bit about my new tyres on my bike, which is the F850 GS-A, and unusually, like I've already said, the bikes I've had previously brand new have had those panicky 3s on them, or the Anarchy 3s, which I've never really got on with. Awesome in the dry, absolutely awful in the wet and very noisy. But I'm riding on these Bridgestones now, Bridgestone Battle Axe Adventure 41s or A41s. So I'll give them a ride out in the rain and see what it's like. But they've got a tread that might be a little bit similar to an Anarchy 3, and bike's just had its 600-mile service, and I'm quite pleased with the tyres, although I've only ridden them once in the wet and they were pretty good. But I thought, now it's really horrible, I'll go out and give them a good go. So you'll notice I've got no chicken strips left on the side, so that's an indication of what they ride like in the dry. So let's get on and we'll see what happens, shall we? So the Battle Axe Adventure 41s, A41s, we'll just call them A41s for now, if I remember. It's a new tyre. It's gone from the update of the Battle Axe A40, and apparently they've increased the longevity of it, so the mileage you can get out of it is improved apparently, and the grip has apparently massively improved. Well, I can sort of say in the dry it is great, and that's, you know, most tyres are good in the dry because it's all about having rubber sticking to the ground, and they're sticky tyres, so they'll stick to the ground. In the wet it's a bit different because obviously you have a layer of water. It's how the tread pattern disperses the water. Obviously you still need to have grip on the road, so you still need rubber attached to the road. It's just a case of how efficiently it disperses the water. So like I said, I've had Anarchy 3s on lots of bikes when they've been bought brand new, and they haven't lasted very long. I think the most I've got out of an Anarchy 3 tyre has been about 5,500–6,000 miles perhaps. And obviously I'm looking for longevity with tours. Now my GSA, my 1200s that I've had Metzler Roteco ones, and I've had the Torrance Next, both excellent tyres. The problem I found with the Anarchy 3 was when it was on its way out, it was suddenly riding really nice, and then bosh, it was gone, you know. It was like riding on an ice rink sometimes. And in the wet, I never really got used to the tyre, and I felt quite not confident in it, if you like. You know, it's not as if I'm not doing any miles riding and things. You know, I'm clearly out riding a bike a lot. So I was a bit surprised that when I picked this bike up and they'd actually gone from the Anarchy 3s, and I suppose it's all about who's doing the cheapest deal for BMW when they get their tyres, and they you know, it's all about money in the end, isn't it? So how did the tyres feel? Well, in the dry, like, you know, they're pretty cool. Like I say, I've got no more chicken strips on them at all, so that is an indication of how much lean angle you can get on them. And the way they designed the tyre, they've taken I think they call it the Ultimate Eye system, and it's like this spider's web. On the website, you go on the website and there's like a spider's web, and it shows you the A40 in the inside the spider's web, and where it, you know, and they've drawn a line around it that shows you how good it is in the wet, how good it is in the dry, you know, how many miles out of it, all that kind of stuff. And then on the website now for the A41, they've done the same thing, but they've put another line around it displaying the A41's capabilities, and I would say it's probably increased on the A40, not that I ever rode the A40, by as much as, I don't know, 20% in places. And that's a massive change for a tyre, and I think it's been brought about because so many people are now using adventure bikes. They're looking for tyres that, you know, are good on the road, because not, you know, let's be honest, there's loads of people who take bikes off-road, but most people don't take them off-road. They're riding around you know, roads like I'm on now, and the best they'll go on is an unpaved road, and I think that's what they've aimed this tyre at. On all the blurb you see from Bridgestone, it shows you them riding and on you know, it's an adventure tyre. Well, it's actually not riding off-road, it's just riding on tracks, if you want, which are, you know, it's acceptable, isn't it? It's perfectly good, but you want a tyre that's going to do both. So I'd say the bias, and I can't find anything that explains what the road to off-road bias might be, but I'm sort of thinking it might be somewhere around about probably about 90-10, something like that. And that might be wildly wrong, and I'm sure someone's going to correct us, but you know, it is what it is. So I was looking at the website before I got on the bike, and I couldn't find it anywhere what its road bias is, but it's clearly a road based tyre that's capable of doing tracks, and that's fine. So I'm just coming into Perranporth now, and those of you who know Perranporth, it's just at the end of the summer, and it's been absolutely jammed here, even though we've had the pandemic has been going on and all that old malarkey. Perranporth has been absolutely packed, and now it's empty. So holidaymakers have all gone home, and I think now we're full of, as somebody explained to me the other day, nearly deads and newlyweds, because they're the only people who can afford to come down here at this time of year. They haven't got kids, as you know, in school anymore. So basically the tread pattern on this the A41 here has got, I was reading up all about it, and it's on the shoulder of the tyre, if you want, not the centre part that's mostly on the road, which has been hardened for better mileage and all that kind of stuff. On the shoulder, it's a little bit softer, but it goes harder towards the apex of the tyre, if that makes sense. And that's so you can get better cornering, apparently. You know, I don't think excessive extreme cornering is something that most of us have to worry about. You know, I mean, I see people who come on tours who've got chicken strips on their tyres that are, you know, massive. And that's the way people ride. So I think the majority of people are quite conservative in the way they ride, although we all think we are Valentino Rossi, don't we? But the road at the moment is wet. We just had a shower go through, although it doesn't probably look very wet on the video, but it is definitely wet. And we've had a summer of, you know, reasonable weather, so this is the first time we've had a bit of rain for a while, so the roads are a bit greasy. Let's just see how they feel. Now I must admit, when I've been riding this tyre, a couple of times I've had a little bit of a slip, and I don't know whether it was because me getting, you know, having only done 700 miles or so on the bike, I'm still getting used to it, and it's such a step change from my 1200 GSA to go down to the 850, so I'm learning about it every time I go out to ride. But I had one yesterday when I was riding it. It's just a little slip, and ooh, hey up, that was quite interesting, and it was just coming across some paint like I've just gone across now. So maybe it was just my style of riding, but here we are, nice tight bend. That's a 90-degree bend, got round it at 40 miles an hour, you know, which is pretty good considering the road conditions. Oh, there's a motorcyclist in front. It's always nice to ride with somebody, isn't it? So there is a lot of mud on the road, well that's difficult to see at the moment, but there is quite a bit of mud on the road. And yesterday I was riding, and although it was dry, it was coming across some muddy patches. It was pretty horrible actually. Can't quite see what this bike is. It's got 2 exhausts. Is it a Bonnie? A Triumph? Something like that. But it's definitely kicking up space. The road is definitely damp. Now, I've always found these tyres when I've been riding, and you know, have you seen people who do all this weaving around on the road, and you say, what are you doing that for? I'm warming up the tyres. You know, like I say, we're all pretty conservative how we ride mostly. I don't think but everyone thinks we're Valentino Rossi. He might have to warm his tyres up, and I don't think that's a problem for us. And these tyres, when I picked the bike up new, you know, I didn't even feel that I had to run them in. You know, people say, oh, you've got to scrub your tyres up. I think with today's modern technology, that's possibly a thing of the past. I'll obviously be corrected if it is a fallacy, but you know, I've got out on these tyres, and within, you know, 10 miles I was riding it how I'd normally ride a bike, so I don't feel that it's any possibly relevant anymore. But you know, it's good to be cautious. So the blurb on the website is very interesting because it talks about how you disperse water. And obviously the whole point of a tyre, oh god, I've just stalled it. Here we go. The whole point of the tyre in the wet is to be able to efficiently disperse the water away from it, and the tread pattern on this is such that it clearly does move the water away from the centre of the tyre, but there seems to be quite big patches of rubber that are still attached, and that's important for grip obviously. So you know, when you go into corners and you're thinking, ooh, you know, do I ride it like I normally ride it in the wet? I have no issue with that, and particularly these tyres, I'm feeling that they're pretty good actually in the rain, which is very confidence inspiring. Apparently the tread pattern and the way the tyre has been built, it's like a banded thing, and particularly they're 4 tubeless tyres, but you can use them in tyres with inner tubes apparently, according to their blurb. And apparently the way the tyre has been made, oh god, look, I've got a big abnormal load in front of me now, so I'm never going to get up to any kind of speed. So these tyres have been built to actually reduce the braking distances of the tyre when you're called to brake. Apparently that's what they're for. Oh, he's turning, excellent. So clearly tyre technology is advancing all the time, but that's good for us as motorcyclists. You know, it's important to have a pair of shoes on the bottom of your bike that you understand are going to perform in all weathers. Although You watch car drivers in front of you and you think, come on, you've got 4 wheels on the floor, you should be going a lot quicker than that. The speed limit is X. It should be up pretty close to that, really, if it's if you can see where you're going. But Mater here is quite happy to do 35 miles an hour. Bless him. I always find these kinds of people are very slow when they're out in the open road. They get in town and they speed. So yeah, so I think I might have waffled on enough. I do like these tyres. The time will tell, obviously, because like I've explained on all our other tyre reviews, crucial for me and for Toby is, as we're guiding bike tours, is how many miles we get out of the tyre. Obviously all the performance issues we want with that, but you know, last year I went through 3 sets of tyres. The bike was serviced 3 times in 9 weeks, 6,000 mile service intervals on my old GSA. So you know, I'm looking for good mileage out of my tyres, and time will tell, obviously. Now if you read the blurb again on this, it's supposed to be give pretty good mileage. I'm stuttering away there like I don't know what. So we'll just have to look at that and see what happens. And it's also interesting that I read some of the other interviews that you see in the other more well-known magazines and websites and everything, and it frustrates me, you know, because quite often it's like the whole report that they've done has been cut and pasted and shared amongst all of them, you know. I know they have to get the statistics in there and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't seem very personable sometimes. It's just like, you know, they've sat in a bar going, what are you going to say? I'm going to say this. Right, I'll say that. Well, what are you going to put now? I'm going to put that. Any good about, oh yeah, I'll do that. And we've had it, people mention this to us before, that, you know, when you're doing, when we do reviews, you know, we do reviews. We don't pull punches. If the tyre's garbage, the tyre's garbage. And we've had tyre manufacturers have contacted us and said, will you do a review? And we've gone, yeah, of course we will, we'd love to. It's a free set of tyres, isn't it, you know? And but we always leave the caveat, and we say to them, look, you know, the review will be completely honest. You know, if the tyre's rubbish, we're going to say it's rubbish. Are you happy with that? And they go, yeah. And I know of one tyre, I won't say the manufacturer. We took a tyre and we did a ride on it, and it was absolutely atrocious. Very, very poor mileage on it with somebody on a pillion. And when we sent the video to the manufacturer, they were saying, oh yeah, we think that's just about confirmed everything that our mechanics said about the tyre. We're like, okay, so what are you going to do about it now? And apparently they emailed us about a year later to say that they'd made some significant changes to the tyre, and they would take it out again. Well, unfortunately we haven't been able to do that yet, but you know, one day we'll get out and hopefully it'll be a better tyre. So anyway, there we go. Do I like this tyre? Yeah, I do at the moment. Time will tell. Is it good in the wet? Seems to be. I haven't had any issues. I mean, I went round that corner at the top of Perranporth there at a speed that I would do it in the dry anyway. So no slippage, no nothing like that, no concerns, no major worries. So I'm very happy with that. And yeah, so if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to us. Toby does all that stuff because he's a wizard on a computer. Me, I'm like a Liberace playing a piano on a computer, so he'll sort all that out for us, and we'll see you in the next video.